All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thursday night football. We should have a good one on our hands here. We have the Eagles taking on the Commanders in today's video. I'm going to dive into this game. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within this one as well. But guys, keep an eye on the Guy Boston Sports site, GuyBostonSports.com, for all of my final plays. We post them there completely free for you guys. I'll put that down in the pinned comment so you guys can find it easily. In terms of how we did last week in week number 10, we have another profitable NFL week. I don't know how we keep doing it. We did drop a little bit. We had a quarter unit on the Rams money line, quarter unit on the Rams spread in Monday night. That was our only losing video from last week. But Thursday night football 2-0, 5-3 on the Sunday slate video. And then, like I said, Monday night we kind of dropped it. But yet another profitable week in the NFL, meaning out of the 10 weeks, I believe, I wish I had this in front of me. I believe we've only had 2 negative weeks in the NFL. So I don't know. You tell me why that's happening, right? Let's try and keep some of that momentum rolling into this week. And we started off with this Thursday night game. So guys, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Been loving and appreciating all of the support here on the new channel. I truly do feel like you guys picked me up when we were down, just given the circumstances. So I really do appreciate it. Obviously, I'm hoping to have some updates soon in terms of what the future plan is and whatnot. But overall, just continue to crush this channel. I really do appreciate it. And make sure you're getting your favorite plays down in the comments. I'm man enough to admit that there's a heck of a lot of people in the comments that are smarter than me, dropping some plays down there and helping the people out. So make sure to go ahead and interact with the comment section. But let's go ahead and jump into this one right now. Eagles 3.5-point favorites. That totals at 49.5. Eagles at home here. Coming into this one 7-2. They are 5-4 against the spread. 3-1 straight up at home. Washington, similar record, 7-3. They're 3-2 on the road, and they're 7-2-1 against the spread in this spot. If we look at some injuries, there's not much to note. Some questionable spots here, so you do want to keep an eye on this. Skill position-wise, Devontae Smith on the Eagles side of things. Dallas Goedert is also listed as questionable. Washington, Brian Robinson Jr., one of their questionabilities. So make sure to keep an eye on some of those, I guess, important injuries before you do go ahead and jump into something in this game. But let's take it over to our dashboard here so we can kind of dig into a few different spots. So what I want to note first is that I do think this Eagles defense has increasingly become better and better, which is super weird because if we remember at the beginning of the year, and we only waited like a few weeks to try and stake the claim and whatnot as a whole NFL community, just saying this Eagles defense isn't good and whatnot. But so far they've been good enough for the 5th fewest points allowed in the game. If we look at the DVOA metrics down here, you'll see that is sort of a standout. They're the 7th ranked defense in terms of DVOA rankings, 7th in pass, 11th in rush, which both of these offenses are good. We should know that, right? Especially now that Philadelphia is getting healthy. And I guess you could say the same thing for Washington, but maybe there may be the missing link on the Washington side of things. Now, their defense has definitely been a little bit better, but on the season, 25th in terms of defensive DVOA ranking, 20th against the pass, 24th against the rush. But like I did mention, as of late, they've gotten a little bit better. You can see here, 11th fewest points in the last 3 games. Passing yards per game, they're 3rd, but not many teams are passing on them. They're 4th there, so I do think that the rushing could be a little bit of an issue. One thing that I'll also say here is a lot of teams are passing on the Eagles, and guess what? They're still allowing the 2nd fewest yards per game, so shout out to them. But just kind of giving a little bit of a look here, and I guess a little bit of a nod to both defenses have gotten better, and I do think that we have 2 of the best offenses in the league in this matchup. So where do we go in terms of, looking at this number? First and foremost, I will say that both sides you can make a good argument for. And I know people in the comments hate when I say that, but it's just the genuine thought, right? I hope a lot of people appreciate that genuine sentiment because I don't want to fake fake confidence for content, like I tell you guys, right? You can make an argument for either side here. I do have an argument to be made for the Eagles. And what I will say before we get into that, if you do like Washington, this 3.5 number could, and obviously is, a pretty special number there, right? Outside of a field goal. So I like the Eagles. What I would do first and foremost is try and get a -3 or even -2.5 if we can find some odds that are good enough, because I'd hate to go and look at this as a field goal game and then just get bit on the hook like that, right? So I like the Eagles. I think that they are the better offense. They have the better, I guess, talent in terms of skill positions as well. Like, even if we look at it from a quarterback, running back, and receivers level, I don't know if you can definitely say on any of those levels that Washington has a better one. I guess the closest one would be Jaden Daniels, but, Jalen Hurts is still a very, 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 very good quarterback, dynamic quarterback, and he's been doing it a little bit longer than Jaden, right? And he's had less missteps, I would say, on the season. But receiver groups, I'm going to go Eagles. Saquon versus Brian Robinson Jr., I'd go Saquon. Eagles offensive line, yes, with some injuries so far this year. Mailata being being the one, Kelsey not being there anymore, I still do trust that offensive line overall compared to Washington. So offensively, I think the Eagles have the better offense. Defensively, we've seen them take such strides, and I do truly believe that they have a better defense. Now, you might look at their recent games and say, dude, they played Dallas, Jacksonville, the Giants, the Browns. Like, yeah, they've played some bad defenses, bad offenses, and the defenses look good. But I do want to focus on one game here that I do think could be considered like a turning point for the Eagles defensively. They played Cincinnati, and we can admit Cincinnati's offense is starting to go, okay? 17 points they allowed there in Cincinnati. I don't think that should be overlooked. I do give them a lot of credit for that one. Whereas Washington, you look at their recent games. Pittsburgh, yes, the offense looks a lot better with Russ, but season-long wise, we've said multiple times, they're not explosive, they're not the best offense, yada, 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 right? 28 points to that team. 22 to the Giants, right? We talked about what Philadelphia did to the Giants. 3 points. So there's a huge discrepancy. The Bears they played, and they allowed 15. They played Carolina. They did what they should do, 7. But my point being, the competition hasn't necessarily been there. So to see Washington's defensive numbers get better and better and better, I do think that there's a little bit to be said for that, right? I will note, as we talk about schedules, both of these teams, not even kidding, have played some of the most bottom-of-the-barrel schedules. I think strength of schedule-wise in terms of record for the teams that they've played, Eagles are lowest in the entire league, and then Washington's like the 4th or 3rd lowest. So definitely worth noting, but they're playing each other here, so let's focus on that for a second. Another offensive thing that I think the Eagles will have an edge in is going to be in the red zone. So we look at the Eagles offense, top 10 red zone team this year in terms of red zone efficiency, scoring touchdowns in the red zone. The defense for the Washington Commanders, 3rd worst in terms of red zone efficiency. You can even flip that over from the, forget the offense, Washington in the offensive spot, and then Eagles flipping to the defensive spot. Eagles, 3rd best red zone efficiency on the defensive side. Washington just middle of the pack at 16th. So red zone could determine this one. But overall, I think this comes down to the offense. I will admit I like the Eagles team total over 23.5 as well. If we can get some good odds on it, that's been something that we've been cashing multiple times this year. So Eagles minus 2.5 is probably how I'd play this one in terms of my actual look. Then Eagles team total. If it came down to the total here at 49.5, I think I'd be silly to lean under, even though I've given the defenses some credit. I feel like 75% of what we talked about here has been the offense and has been the red zone. So I don't necessarily want to lean towards the under. I'll lean towards the over. Keep an eye on GuyBossonSports.com to see what we ultimately end up rolling with. We do have a couple player prop spots to dive into as well, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, guys, before we jump into the player prop portion of this video, I did want to talk to you about Sleeper because they have 2 great deals going on right now. First off, for this game, Jaden Daniels, 0.5 passing yards. His normal line is over 220, and now they're giving you a 0.5 one. Just means he needs to pass for 1 yard, and this portion of your entry can cash. They're also doing a deposit match up to $1,500 for the time being, so go ahead and check it out, guys. That link will be in the pinned comment and in the description. I'll also put it on the Guy Boston Sports site along with the final plays for your convenience. But seriously, go ahead and check out Sleeper. They have more lines than anyone else. They have exclusive lines that you won't find in other places or on other apps. They do the alternate lines, which I really do like. And what I like most about them, I tell you guys all the time, is the fact that they have dynamic payout multipliers. So you don't just follow a fixed payout structure. 2 for 2 is 3x, 3 for 3 is this. No. Each and every play you throw into a slip, it can be alternate lines, it can be more aggressive lines, all that. Each and every play you throw into a slip will change the payout of that slip, starting with this Jaden Daniels. So go ahead and check it out, guys. That link, again, will be all over the place. Pinned comment on the Guy Boston Sports site. Go check out Sleeper. I've been using it for years. If you check it out, I do not think you'll regret it. All right, we're going to start the player props here with this one. A.J. Brown over 79.5 receiving yard. You can see the odds on your screen. I don't mind taking this down a little bit either if you do really, feel less confident playing this as something on, Prize Picks or something like that where he just needs 70. But I still don't mind him to go out there and get over 79.5. You can see he's done it in 5 of his 6 games so far this year. And then in his 2 most recent games against Washington, holy 175 and 130. Another thing that I like is going to be his receptions. And we'll talk about why in a second. 9 catches and 8 catches in those last 2 games. And you might be getting some good value here, plus 122. Oh, because he's barely done this year. Now, he's getting the targets that I do think are necessary. And against a team like Washington, I think that he is going to have some success here. But again, you look at the head-to-head, and he's just blown both of these numbers away. So the good thing about this is that I think that A.J. Brown is going to obviously establish himself early and often in this game, which is why I like both the receptions and the yards. So kind of like the quantity and the quality as well. But one thing we'll note, if we go over to the dashboard, look at where this is. This is DVOA adjusted defensive versus position fantasy points. Yes, it's a mouthful, but essentially it's just a production uptick or downturn in terms of that position. Washington this year to wide receiver number ones, which obviously A.J. Brown is a wide receiver number one, a 36% uptick to their opposing number ones that they're going up against. George Pickens last week had 91 yards, a touchdown, right? He had like 5 or 6 catches. Malik Neighbors had almost 10 catches a couple of weeks ago. We saw Zay Flowers early in the year absolutely torch them for 9 catches, 132. Amari Cooper had a good game against them as well. Like, we've seen a lot of number one. Jamar Chase had a really good game against Washington early on in the year as well. I think he had like 2 or 3 touchdowns, or 2 touchdowns at least. But we've seen a lot of wide receiver number ones be able to go out there and attack this Washington secondary. And I'm not totally bought into the better defense. I already kind of mentioned it, right? Like, I do think there's a level of who have you played lately, and not exactly the best wide receiver number ones, but we've also just seen wide receiver number ones that they've played lately do well. So it's like, I don't even know if I would say that those guys, like, none of them to me are totally A.J. Brown. Now, there's a lot of good names in there that I mentioned, but to me, for him to go get out there getting 6 catches for plus 122 seems like it's some value on it. And then even from the receiving yards line here, I think that he could crush this as well. The one negative, and if you want to take this and run with it, I will give you credence. This is a Washington team that in the last few weeks have played a lot more man defense than zone defense. And A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts and this honestly entire passing attack does a lot better against zone, A.J. Brown in particular. So if that's something, and I obviously wouldn't want to hold that information back from you guys because you can make your own decisions. If that's something that you're like, oh man, I don't like the sound of that, then I do totally get that. But just know that we mentioned that, right? Another player prop that I'm considering here is Terry McLaurin. McLaurin. We got that one. Over 4.5 catches. I think that this could be a catch-up game for Washington, and at the very least, I think that we've seen, this defense look good from Philadelphia, but still, he's got the speed. He has a mobile quarterback. I think we could see some plays being extended. His receiving yards line, I also don't hate. You can see both his catches and his receiving yards have looked pretty damn good in terms of his last 2 games against Philadelphia. In terms of receptions, he's hit it in 60% of games, and then in his last 8, in his last 8 games here, he's gone over this line in terms of yards in 5 of them. So I like both wide receiver ones here to go out there and do their job overall. I also have a sleeper slip at the end of this video with a couple more plays added in. So we'll talk about those in just a second. But to recap, I like both wide receiver number ones with a couple other player props we'll talk about literally in just like a few seconds here. But from a game perspective, Eagles minus the 2.5 if we can get a good line there. I like their team total over. It's like minus 150 now, so that might be a little bit juicier than your morning OJ, but still don't mind the 23.5 number. And then I would slightly lean towards the over in this game. Though I'm giving the recency bias of defenses looking better and all that, I still think overall the talent of both these teams are and how dynamic their offense can be. So that's where we're leaning. In terms of what we do have for our sleeper one, we'll do a little bit of a giveaway here. If you comment down below your Instagram, so let me know your Instagram or your Twitter, but make sure to specify which one it is. If this play hits, we will give away the winnings to multiple people or just one person. We'll decide that. We'll let you guys know. But overall, Zach Ertz, 25 plus receiving yards. McLaurin, 4+ catches. A.J. Brown, 75 plus receiving yards. And then Saquon Barkley, more than 1.5 receptions. Again, guys, go ahead and check out Sleeper to get these deals. That is the Jaden Daniels square, as well as that 1,500 deposit match. It's an absolute no-brainer, and now we got this going on. So make sure to comment your Instagram or your Twitter. I did this at the end of the video on purpose, so we can make sure who's actually still watching. But go ahead and drop those below. If you're not interested in the giveaway and you just want to let me know you made it to the end of the video, cool. Go ahead and comment 14 because you made it 14 minutes into the video. But I think we got a really good game in store for us. Very, very excited for it. So we'll see how if we keep the momentum going. I was going to say how we keep this momentum going. If we keep this NFL momentum going, we shall see. But guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.